Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this interview with my friend and colleague, Kate Nelligan. You're going to learn more about how she does equine partnered coaching and how we are even going to have some classes during our Living Well Symposium with Kate and her Remuda. So Kate, tell us a little bit about how you are going to incorporate leadership and veterinary medicine and veterinary teams in with your horses. Clue us in.
Sure. Well, horses are incredible at teaching leadership because they're 1,200-pound prey animals. And so for us to work with them and step into leadership, we have to learn certain qualities around trust, around clarity and communication, and around being really more heart-centered because horses join from that place. So, there's a lot of ways to unlearn things too. There's the old kind of dominance and submission energy, which doesn't work. The power over energy doesn't work in leadership. So what the equines really teach us, and even donkeys, this is sweetness, is how we can work with the energies of power with. So power within and power with one another. How do we partner and how do we lead and create results from that place? So horses actually teach us to embody really strong leadership skills.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I remember you telling us before about the heart of the horse and leading from that place. And this idea of unlearning, because I've been in a few classes with you, and I love that aspect of what you bring to the table in unlearning.
Yes. Yes, because so much we've seen is an old paradigm, just because, the belief system is you'll do better once you know better. And I feel like the horses really role model a different way. And so we have to sometimes unlearn some of the things that we've seen in society around power over dynamics, where we put results or bottom line above kind of triple bottom line and people. The premise of the way this works is how you do one thing is how you do anything. And so you'll see really quickly if you move into a space, there's your boy Winter.
There's my boy Winter.
If we move into a space of trying to control through asking a horse to do something in a leadership exercise, everything's on the ground. With them, they're at liberty. They can choose what they want. They have full freedom to move around. We're not always using tack. We're not riding. So there's really an opportunity for us to meet as equals and to learn from their ways of being. And in the horse herd, there's a lead mare usually and a lead stallion in the wild. And the stallion really supports through strength and leading from behind. And the mare, the feminine leader, is really about making wise decisions that benefits the entire good of the herd. And so this is how they've survived on the planet longer than we have. And we can often see these dynamics in a domestic herd as well, where we can really learn how to blend strength and softness as really powerful leaders.
And I think one of the conversations we tend to have too when I'm in these classes is that feminine and masculine, and that's very much present with the horses as well. And that and boundaries, we talk frequently about boundaries.
Yes. Yeah, boundaries are huge because often the horses can read us so well, right? Sweetness is right here again. They can read us really well. And if we, there's an energy of coming into being assertive, right? So it's not about aggressive and it's not about passive. And so sometimes if we're too passive, a horse might actually get into our space, kind of push up against us. And so we have to learn how to create more space, to ask them to move back. And so they help us learn that assertiveness. And I believe that what we learn here in the field, we can really apply to the workplace and also to our home lives. It's really applicable everywhere because they're really more emotional intelligence skills. And so boundaries is huge, especially in vet medicine. I've seen that, we can not always serve everyone, although we sometimes feel like we have to, but if we are serving everyone at our own detriment or at the practice's detriment, then we're actually doing a disservice. So it's really getting clearer about who we can serve and also how do we fill our cups first so we're not depleted.
And I believe that is basically a core theme within the Living Well programs, I think a lot of our presenters are touching on that, being really clear in your personal values, vision, mission, your boundaries, clearly defining expectations. I think that's a wonderful theme that we've got going on.
Yeah, it is. And it's that intention of how do you live well through choices, through conscious choices. You know, and the horses are very much, especially in an environment like this, where they live in a herd, they're out on acres, they have access to food, you know, pretty much all of the time. They are really in kind of a higher quality life. And so there's a lot that we can kind of learn from what are our basic needs, how do we meet them, right, as an individual or as a team, and how do we live well. And the horses will always say, follow what feels good, right? So they're not interested in shoulds or judgment or have to, because they're not operating from the head or from ego. They're really in these kind of very intuitive, connected places. They spend a lot of time meditating and just being. And so if we learn even just 10% of their tricks, of their
Mhm.
we become more like them, we will live more well. We will become healthier.
I just love everything about this, and people need to know that Kate and I have been growing in this capacity now for quite a few months, and I see your horses and I just feel such great joy, even though they're there, you know, on the other side of the screen. I feel very connected to them in many ways. So how about this idea of giving one piece of advice to our viewers on living well? I think you've already given some, but really answering that question, what advice would you give in living well?
Yeah, I love that. And what's so fascinating is the horse that came up, right, when you asked that question. There's no accidents in this work. Everything kind of has meaning and is fascinating. The horse that came up right here to kind of speak on that tip is Salida. And she is very much, her teachings are about being fully yourself, right? So if we're trying to be someone else or we're trying to be something for someone, we kind of lose our own authenticity and integrity. And so that's one of her major tips, is to be fully yourself. And her others, and I'm giving you two because I'm a bit of an overachiever, is two, which I know the vets can relate to, is the self-care piece. So Salida is very much a teacher of self-care. And as we know, as with some of the folks we've already worked with in the vet space, Rebecca, you know, Salida's message to them is often about what's the one thing that lights you up that you want to schedule in each week that gives you so much joy, or peace. And we've seen already with people in the community, like choosing Pilates and choosing time to meditate every day before life gets super busy and just kind of takes us with it, to really get intentional about having a time to be centered. So she would encourage us to live from the heart and schedule and joy and self-care.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it really is interesting to watch your interpretations. You've been with horses in this kind of equine partnered coaching for many years. So tell us a little bit about your background and why you're here with us with Living Well Symposium.
Yeah, thanks. I've been with horses my whole life in terms of loving them, riding them, and being connected to them. But it's been the last several years that I've partnered with them in life and career coaching and healing work. And I am just amazed at what they can do. And so I always had a relationship with them where it was more riding based, until I saw them work with addicts in recovery, and then realized that transformation in 2 hours was possible instead of multiple years, as I did in my psychology master's program. So it all became, how can I bring this quick healing and transformation and lessons to others, so that way that they could create results faster, because personal growth is not just reading a book and trying to implement it, but it's really getting it into our bodies and making new choices and taking new action. So coaching is natural for me because of my master's and so much of my own life and studies. And then I've trained with a lot of different folks in the equine world to really understand horses, and also add in animal communication, so that I feel like I can hear them and understand what they're communicating to clients as well.
Yeah, yeah, I hope we've increased people's curiosity as to what this is going to look like and feel like with them. Uh, Again, it just brings me and fills my heart just to watch them feeding and passing around, and of course sweetness there. The miniature donkey, oh, what a joy he is. Um, so you've been working within with the veterinary community for a number of years as well. If people wanted to reach out to you, how would they get a hold of you?
Sure. So my website is currently consciousrockstar.com, which will eventually be katenelligan.com. And I'm also on all social media platforms, and it's easy to find me under Kate Nelligan Equine Coach. So that is the best way. I'm sure you can share the links as well. And I feel, what's so powerful about with the horses and vet medicine is so often vet med is about small animals, and there's something really big and unique about working with the horses in the large animal space. And so often veterinarians and vet techs and practice managers are really giving so much to animals and giving so much to the human animal bond, but this is a way for them to receive from animals.
Oh, yeah.
It just flips the switch and then gets them, Sweetness is liking that, it just flips the switch for all of vet med to realize that it's really, there's an opportunity for them to receive, and in receiving you feel loved, you feel valued, and you feel worthy. And through that, then you bring that to your clients for better customer service. You bring your team, you bring that to each other. But it really is, I wanted this so bad for veterinarians because I really wanted them to receive, because they give so much. There's so much of that hero and warrior archetype of mentality, and it's really, there's an opportunity for them to be a part of the human animal bond and the other side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I hadn't ever thought of that way. And I think right now our veterinary teams really can open their hearts and their minds to this idea that, yeah, they've been giving, and they've been giving at such a different level and really intense purpose the past few months, that this could really be an opportunity for them to flip a switch in receiving, which is one of our conversations we've even had. Okay, so let's go down that path for a second. All of these things we can talk about, but let's talk about really putting our place in a place of receiving.
I love that. Well, how do you do that, Rebecca? I feel like I can share how I do it too. I hang out with these guys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I get so much from the support that I have within my veterinary community and my peers. And it's something that I acknowledge, I thank them for, I appreciate, and often know that in giving that I'm also receiving. So it truly is a two-way street.
Yes.
But being
horses
out with, yeah, horses teach that, definitely. So even if a lot of our veterinary team members aren't comfortable or feel comfortable with horses, but that's okay. During your classes, this is all virtual, but you have team members and professionals seeing you at your ranch now, right?
Yeah, so that's what's so neat about, thank God for Zoom and technology, is that I've been able to really, bring people into nature. We've got beautiful views of the Rockies out here, and connect. And the horses and the donkey, and also goats, because I work with them as well, will come right up onto the screen. They'll sometimes stand right over me or put their head right next to me. And essentially, you can feel their energy through the screen. That is why technology is powerful, is we are also connected and you can feel us through video. So yes, there's so much that can still happen virtually. I've been amazed that it's just as powerful as being in person, although being in person, in my opinion, is still the best, because you get the senses, the smell. But it works really well, and they teach us to let go of control, which was something I really needed to learn when I first started doing this work. And to surrender. And my mare taught me to literally just put my arms open in meditation and just sit with her. and so much powerful energy came in just by being able to kind of open up. And it can be scary at first to put ourselves into that receiving space, but then when we start to feel so filled, people always leave lighter. And that's one of my goals, is that there's a lot of heaviness in the world, and there's a lot of heaviness in vet medicine with euthanasia and everything else. And I've seen it, having worked in it in the corporate environment for a couple of years. But I feel that this is some way to get restored and to feel lighter, and for the burdens to be lifted. Donkeys actually lift burdens. So
Yeah.
that's what I want for folks in the symposium.
Yeah. And Kate's going to be giving other classes too. So she has the 10:30 slot on Friday morning where she'll be doing this kind of a class and explaining to the attendees what she's receiving and interpreting from the horses, and it's going to be so magnificent. And then you're going to be doing a vision board with us, and then we can even offer a session where people can do coaching with you as a group session. So we're going to have a lot of different ways for our folks in attending the symposium to meet you, meet your horses, get this amazing connection. And even though it's virtual, it's still very powerful.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a pleasure meeting you today, and I'm sure people are so eager, and we've raised the curiosity as what this looks like, how impactful and powerful it can be, and just being like, that's midnight. I mean, I know all of these horses now individually, and I see their uniqueness. I see the stories that they can offer, and as Kate was pointing out, some of them really do have different approaches and things to teach us. It's very clear. Yeah.
They very much are teachers. We often don't see animals as that, but they really have a lot, and they're each different and unique, and people resonate with different ones, and they also show up differently for different people, but they always have messages that people feel so empowered by. And that's what I invite you to experience. And I love that you said we increase curiosity, because that's what the horses are, and the goats too, are like, live life from a place of like curious, what's here for me, what's possible here, right? And at first I was a skeptic, and so are others in this space, but it's really, we have just been blown away by the wonder of it, on how the animals are actually very much here to help us, as they are also here for themselves.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for this time. If this has raised your curiosity and you want to participate in our Veterinary Teams Living Well Stream Symposium, the website is www.vetteamslivingwell.com, and you'll find information about Kate and her Remuda and LinkedIn and how more to find her and how to register for the upcoming symposium. Kate, thank you. Big hug.
Big hug. Oh my God. I'm always so grateful for having met you. You're like one of my angels in my life. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Likewise, you are one of the angels, and the connection that you have given me back to horses is just been wonderful. All right. I love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.